What's up, y'all? My name is Ian Edwards, and welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. We're going to talk about Liverpool on a roll. And God damn you, Leicester, I need you to do one favor, two favors, one for me, one for you. Beat Liverpool or make them drop points and save yourself from getting relegated. But apparently you want to get more relegated than you want Liverpool to get into the top four and hurt Manchester United's chances. So good luck, fam. We're going to talk about this. Is Arsenal bottling it, or is it just a missed opportunity because they're kids and they're young, and Man City are just goddamn men and they handle their business like professionals. Plus, they got a Gundogan. And we're going to talk about United. And speaking of kids, Garnacho plays like a goddamn man, and thank God he's with United. And we're going to have the official funeral for Southampton. Sorry, Lee, who's here. So we're going to get to that. And fans, there's been a lot of questionable fan activity. Are fans out of pocket in all the leagues across Europe? Like, what's going on? They just chased the Barcelona La Liga champs off the field at one game on an opposition ground, and that's not cool. I'm here with my co-host, Lee Hudson, stand-up comic from England, Southampton fan. He's wearing his shirt proudly. He's dressed for the funeral. What up, fam?
I'm good. I accepted that shit weeks ago. This was just the confirmation. Like, it's like if someone had been on a life support machine for a while and they're like, we're not seeing any signs, we're going to turn it off, and you're like, yeah, I knew this was coming. That's what this is. I felt nothing on the day. I was like, there we go.
But at least you don't have to drive through traffic to get to the hospital anymore, to just sit and watch them just lay there, knowing that this is going to be the inevitable end anyway. So at least you don't.
That is what our performances were. That is what our performances were like.
Yeah.
They were pretty lifeless. It was,
yeah.
But hey ho, we get more games in the Championship. We got cheaper tickets. We've got a higher chance of actually winning games. Hopefully.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm trying to look at the positives now. That's I'm trying to do that deluded thing that every fan does when their team gets relegated, and they're like, it might be more fun in the division below.
I did hear one fan on Talk Sport say that, like, he's tired of being at the bottom of the table. At least we're going to be in a league where you're going to win some games and, like, around Christmas be in the top six and feel good about it. So he's looking forward to that. And he wanted to go down 2 years ago because he was tired of the torture. So he's got his wish, and maybe this is what will keep you thriving. But it's official 21 gun salute, man. It was nice having Southampton, and it will do like a little, like, eulogy. We'll make sure we got to get to that, because we'll figure it out. Let's go to, we was talking a little bit before the podcast. You was telling me, like, you have a lot of shows in London, and we're both stand-up comics, and I always want to remind the audience that we're stand-up comics, and all the guests or the co-hosts on the podcast are stand-up comics. You say you have a lot of shows in London recently, like for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, next 2.5 weeks, pretty much all London shows, and then out on the road in Bristol, Liverpool, Manchester, after that, at the start of June. So it's all over the place, but yeah, it's fun. London's, like, it's similar to, obviously you've got like LA, New York, and probably now Austin counts as one of the big places as well now, where there's shows. Like in the UK, London's like the main place, and then sort of that cluster up in the northwest of like Manchester, Liverpool, that's all the sort of surrounding towns. There's lots up there, so that's one of the other big scenes as well. And then there's a few other smaller ones, but London's where most shows are. You can get a couple in each night if you line it up right. So it's it's where I tend to spend most of my time, even though it's expensive as hell, because I live about an hour or so outside the city, because rent is affordable where I am.
Right. And how do you get in the city? Take the train or you drive your car?
I drive most of the time. I know where all the free parking is in London. If anyone wants to know where free
Hilarious.
parking in London is, hit me up. I
If
found all of it.
if you want to know where all the free parking in London is, Lee is the app for that. So just hit up Lee and he'll tell you. Just go to one of his shows and he'll get you free parking, and you can go anywhere from his shows before or after, knowing that your car is safe and that you're not spending like money trying to park. So that's a good reason to go to his shows, to laugh and to find free parking.
I do hop on the tube sometimes if because I live sort of out the west of London. So like if I have a show like in East London, sometimes I'll drive to West London, park in Hammersmith usually, your old home, and then I get the tube from Hammersmith and travel to somewhere from there.
All right, that's cool. Hammersmith, yeah. I was born in Hammersmith County Hospital, from what I was told. So it could be true. I don't know. Probably is. And then you were asking me about my shows at La Jolla this weekend.
Yeah, it looked like a great weekend.
Yeah. What made you feel like it was a great weekend?
I saw posts from the club saying like 2 sold out shows. You looked pretty happy in the pictures. And from what I've heard, it's just a great club and a nice place to go as well.
Right. No, it was a great weekend, but I did post it, and I was smiling in the pictures, but I was just wondering if there was like some type of information. Like social media is like a funny thing, and I still don't understand it completely. And you don't know what you're emitting from all your posts fully, but like crowds came out. We had a fun time. I did mostly material and then some crowd work at certain points. I had a good feature. His name is Trey Stewart. He's mad funny, and he was with me at the mothership in Austin too. And it's good to have. It's the first time I've done 2 weekends back to back. Like normally I do one weekend, and then I'm in LA a lot, and then there'll be another weekend. But now I'm doing 3 weekends back to back. Now this weekend coming up, I'm going to Chicago to do Zanies from Thursday, May 18th to the 20th. Zanies in Chicago, and then I go on Sunday to do Zanies in Nashville on the 21st. So that's 3 weekends back to back. Then I'll actually won't have to do a crash study on all my hour before the first show, and hope while I'm on stage that I'm remembering the order, because I've been actually doing it. So that's the good thing with having shows back to back to back, and in the good cities too. I fucks with Austin, I fucks with La Jolla, and I definitely mess with Chicago, and I like Nashville. I've been there before and had a great time. So if you're in those places that's left, come on out. So yeah, it's fun.
I've heard those Zanies clubs are real good as well.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah, I like them. I've done one in Rosemont before, and I did this one, the one in Chicago, during a comedy festival one time. So I did one show. Yeah.
Is the Rosemont one the one out by the airport?
Yeah, it's right outside of Chicago. Yeah, but I did it, and I was like, I don't like when a comedy club says it's in a major city and then it's not. But this was one of the rare times when I did Rosemont, and it was right outside of Chicago near the airport, but still close enough. And me and some of the comics, the locals, we drove into Chicago and we hung out at night and we had a good time. So it kind of made up for it. But yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's a cool city. I've only been once to Chicago, but I liked it. I want to go back there. It seems like a cool place.
Yeah, it's nice, and it reminds me of New York, like a cleaner version of New York. It doesn't smell of urine as much as New York does. It's like somehow Chicago manages to do it a little cleaner, but dope city. So it's going to be fun to be there this weekend. So let's talk a little, and thank you everybody for coming out to my shows this weekend. And hope to see a lot of people this weekend coming up. Check out Lee and go to our Instagrams. Mine is at Ian Edwards Comic. And go to my Linktree, link in bio, and you see all my show dates. And the same thing for Lee, except that Lee's Instagram. What's your Instagram again, Lee? I don't want to mess it up.
Lee Hudson Comedy. Just all
Yeah,
one
that's what I
word.
thought. Yeah.
Yeah, nice and easy.
So let's start with the people or the team that ain't afraid to do what it takes to win their 5th title in 6 years, or is it 6th title in 7 years? What is this?
Something like that. It's yeah. They
Man
up there.
City. And I emphasize the man part in Man City. Like they shouldn't even say Manchester. Just say Man City, because that's what they do. They man up and they come through and they take over your city, and they ain't gonna let you have theirs. And they went to Everton and dismantled them and took away any doubt in the first half. And let's give it up to Ilkay Gundogan. Like, sometimes he's captain, sometimes he's not, sometimes he's on the bench. But when you need him at the end of seasons, you know, you want to rest De Bruyne or just like have alternatives that don't bring down your standard of play, you got a guy like this, pretty rested. You know, he's played a lot, but for the amount of games that they played, fresh. You know what I mean? And he come in and mad skill, technical, and a hustler, born hustler, and got the first goal, broke down Everton. And did he get the second one, or was Haaland got the second one?
Then he got the third.
And then he got the third and makes up for missing the penalty from last week. So he got 2 braces in a row. And I'm not gonna break down this game. It's just like, yeah, Sean Dyche is effective, but against a team on a mission that knows there's no time to play, just get out of their way. This ain't for you, Sean Dyche. You're gonna have to get them points from them other teams, because this ain't one of them. Yes, didn't Everton beat Arsenal? Or
Dyche's first game.
Yeah, Dyche's first game. So yeah. So that's the difference between Arsenal, who's going to come second, and Man City. It's like, yeah, you might be able to do that to Arsenal, a team that's learning, but you ain't going to do nothing to Man City, who are determined to win the league. What did you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I was interested to see how Everton did, because they were riding high after that big win against Brighton, where they just obliterated them on the counter-attacks. And obviously, they tried to do that here, but like you say, City are just too strong. And Gundogan, that was a nice brace that he scored as well, because the first one where he sort of received the ball back to goal and he sort of takes that control and then just turns and hits it, like that was, just unreal technique. And to do it in like that tighter space, that close to goal, like
no space,
world class.
Yeah.
And then the free kick he made look easy. He looked like he didn't even try to score that free kick. Like, he sort of just walked up to it and he didn't even like pull his leg all the way back. He was just sort of like, there you go. And just put it over the wall and past Pickford's reach. It's like, damn, he didn't even look like he like tried to do that. It was so effortless. And obviously Haaland weighs in with his obligatory goal as well. He's chasing down that record. Dixie Dean, the old Everton legend. So just routine behaviour from City. And obviously they did that before they knew what Arsenal had done as well. So I think if they win their next game, it's done, isn't it?
Yeah. They win the next one, it's done. It's all wrapped up. And man, let me look at see if I can find the table right quick. Press the wrong thing.
I've got it here.
I see it. Like, Everton's on 32 points. They got 2 games left, right? So they're in 17th. Do you think? So Nottingham Forest has 34 points, right?
Yeah.
So they're not. So this is the danger zone is from 19 to 16. Like, because
Yeah.
if Nottingham Forest lose their games, only get 1 point. Both their games only get 1 point. Somebody Everton could pass it because Everton has a possible 6 points. Leeds has a possible 6 points, which could take them to 35. That's 6
37.
points.
At least get to
37.
37. Yeah.
They at least could get to 37. And Leicester, who after today, you feel like they just handed in their their Premier League badges by the way they played today. I mean, they tried, but they're just there's also a theme that I was going to get to during your funeral for Southampton about the teams going down, and the theme is whoever sold their players sold their soul. You know what I mean? So like Leicester, like where they've been lacking in like on set pieces, defending them and just defending period, they've sold over the past few years a lot of their defenders. Fofana, Maguire, is it Chilwell?
Yeah.
Chilwell, and who else did they sell that was a defender? And it's one of their weakest areas. Like you say, why is Leicester going down? You know, and when they have those offensive players, which most teams that have offensive players like that don't go down because they sold their defense. You know what I mean? And Southampton is going down because like it like name all how long you been up?
12 years now.
Oh, that's a long ass time. Name like let's hear some of the people you sold, and it's not just defenders. It's like world class, world beaters. Like it's crazy. So I didn't prepare you for this, but just name some people that you sold, and then people can have an understanding of like how Southampton's hourglass time ran out.
Well, I mean, if we go through defenders, I mean, we sold quite a lot of good ones. We sold obviously Van Dijk. We sold Jose Font when he still had a little bit of time left in him because he went to Lille and won the French league with them. We sold Vestergaard, although we probably got rid of him at the right time because he hasn't even played for Leicester. Ryan Bertrand, Luke Shaw, Nathaniel Klein. Like these are all obviously very, very good players in their time. And then further up the pitch, obviously, you know, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Lallana.
Name the areas like you have a problem scoring. So let's name the scorers that you sold.
I mean, Ings was the big one for me. If we could have kept hold of him, like he's the one in recent years, because when we had Ings's goals, we were fine. The year after we sold Ings, Brozier was on loan from Chelsea, and he kind of softened that blow by scoring a bunch of goals himself. And then obviously Chelsea wanted him back, and then he got injured there. And we never replaced him. So we had a stopgap after Ings went. And then it just killed us. But I mean, the season where we just stayed up right at the end when Mark Hughes was in charge, we didn't really have a goal scorer then. That was a problem. Like Shane Long would occasionally score, Gabbiadini would occasionally score. But before that, we'd just lost Graziano Pella, who was a big Italian forward who scored a bunch of goals for us. And then he got a big pay offer from a club in China and he went there. But he was like 32, I think. So I kind of understand why he'd want to go and make some money because he had played in the lower leagues for some of his career as well. So he went and got that pay. And yeah, it's just, you know, clubs like the key ends of the pitch, like, you know, if you're not scoring goals and you're defending badly, then that's a recipe for relegation. That's, you know, you might be able to get away with one or the other. Leicester look like they're not going to get away with defending badly if even though they are scoring the odd goals. But, you know, because I like Harvey Barnes, I like James Maddison. Vardy's still doing a job even though he's getting older. I like Daka, I like Iheanacho. Like they got players there who can do stuff, but they've been inconsistent this season as well. They've not been doing it all the time. And then if the forwards are inconsistent, which is still better than ours, who are non-existent, but then if you know, if their forwards are inconsistent but they're defending like they defended today. Like some of those, I mean, Liverpool played well today, but Leicester's defending was comical at times. Like they were just, none of them knew where their players were. They didn't know where each other were. Like it was just like a bunch of strangers out there, just all running around in different directions and not even looking at what they were doing. It was a bit all over the place.
Yeah, and then fouls on the first goal. It's like you're within range of this. It's the Premier League, and I know he's new to it and he's gotten better, but you just have to get rid of that ball. Just kick it somewhere. Like this is not, it's trying to control the ball in that area of the pitch when the way Liverpool play, when they just rush anybody with the ball and surround them, it's like it's a recipe for disaster. And another thing Leicester did today was, I think Tillemans, right, is like when his contract, I think it runs out at the end of the season. So he's a free agent in June. So playing a free agent that is like playing someone that this game don't matter to him. He's gone. He's not getting relegated. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying his heart wasn't in this, but it's like you might get more out of a player who this game or the rest of these games matter to more. It's because Tielemans refused to sign a contract like from last year or the year before. So you could see that he's set on going, and he's not going to give him any financial benefit from being an ex-player. So he's good regardless. So you need to play somebody that's like, man, I want to stay up, like just because even if they're not as good, just their energy might be better. So that's just risking, like we were saying, Leicester, you've sold a lot of defenders, good defenders, like defenders that play for top teams, and you're not going to stay up when you're leaking goals, no matter how many goals you're scoring. This might be the most offensive team in Premier League history to go down. I don't know if that's a fact, but I'm just saying that right now, if somebody wants to research it. But there's a lot of goals that's going down with this ship. Leeds too, they sold a bunch of players and they're on the verge of going down. I'm not saying Leicester's going down either, but they're right there. They're 19th. Leeds, like, they sold people to Man City, who's about to win the title. They sold homeboy to Barcelona that just won La Liga. And, when you had injuries to Bamford, and you need goals, and you gave away like one of the a midfielder, defensive midfielder that plays for England, even though he's been injured all this time. Maybe he wouldn't have been injured at Leeds if he stayed. It's just you're playing a dangerous game when you're selling key players from key parts of the pitch where you're struggling at. Like they did kind of replace him with Tyler Adams, who's high up in but he's injured now. At the key part of the season, he's injured. It's like, so it's just, you want to make some money, but staying in the league is worth money too.
Mm-hmm. There's some good players in that league team that I really like.
Hell
and
yeah.
I think there'll be some bargains to be picked up from them from other teams if they do go down, because I think those players, they're sort of good individuals there, but they just didn't work as a collective at Leeds. Because I really like Jack Harrison, the kid who went from England over to the US and played for New York. I really like him. I really rate him. I think he'll be a good like squad player for a top team, or like a good starter at a mid-table team that are trying to like climb and get into those higher spots, because he works hard. He's good in the press, but he's also like technically decent as well.
Yeah, and that's they didn't lose this week, so I'm not being hard on them. They, Sam Allardyce got a point against Newcastle at home. Leeds was at home, and it's good to get a point against Newcastle, a team that's kind of on a roll, and it's third in the table. And as a United fan, I'm glad Leeds, who was one of our arch enemies, helped like a team above us in the table drop points. So I appreciate that. But if this was like, I was talking to you before, the Junior Firpo game, he was everything that was good about Leeds and everything that was terrible about Leeds. And one of the things, I was like, when he got that first yellow and then escaped another yellow on a tackle that they was being reviewed. As a matter of fact, the tackle they reviewed, they kept it at a yellow, and he won them a penalty, which Bamford just like I can't even clown Bamford. I just feel bad. Like it's just ever since he had that injury, he's just in his first season he scored 14 goals, and like the last 2 seasons, a lot of injuries and just no confidence. Like, and you get a penalty, you're gonna have a chance to go 2 goals up on Newcastle. You miss the penalty, Newcastle comes right back down and makes it 1-1. And then they go 2-1 up, and then luckily that I got to find the name of the guy that equalized it for Leeds.
Rodrigo, I think, wasn't it?
No, I was it's English. Christian.
Oh no, it's Christensen. Yeah, I think he's Norwegian or Danish.
Yeah. I've seen him score a few times for Leeds. Like when they need goals, sometimes he scores. So I almost thought he was like a forward or something. But it looked like he was like a right back or something.
Yeah, he's a fullback, or I think he can play defensive mid as well.
Yeah. So, but yeah, at least they got a point out of this. Who does Leeds have left to play?
Let me have a look. I think they've got Tottenham and West Ham, who are 2 teams that have pretty much nothing to play for now. Yeah, West Ham and Spurs. West Ham next, who are Allardyce's old club as well.
Yeah. Like West Ham are safe, but they ain't safe. Well, they have 37 points now. Let's see.
Yeah.
They're not. I didn't include them, but they're safe.
They can only really go down on goal difference, and that's unlikely because their goal difference is better than most of the clubs down there.
Right. Yeah.
But I think they'll still be playing maximum effort because their players want to win a place in the team if they make the Europa Conference final, because they've got the second leg coming up this week. So they might be in a European final by the end of the week.
Yeah, they didn't play for a place this week, but I don't know what the starting lineup was, if he rested some people for that game, because I know they go on the road to play that game, so they got to bring it. And this is, Moyes wants to barely stay in the Premier League, but win a title. And then he'll feel like, he's accomplished something. And I know I'll root for West Ham in the Conference League. I hope they accomplish it. Have fun in Holland. Do something. Let's go to Arsenal versus Brighton, and this was going to be a difficult game because it's one of the games on Arsenal's schedule that we said was going to be tough for them, and that made it look more likely for Man City to win the league, especially after Arsenal had dropped points. And another thing that made it even tough was Everton panhandling Brighton last weekend. And, these players came into this game, even though they were on the road, with a sense of pride, and they should have confidence because they just had a great season and they switched coaches mid-season. But this new coach seems to be even better than the coach that they had, and it's really got them playing, and the players have more experience in the Premier League and more confidence, and they just added these new pieces, and the coach is very tactically gifted, and the players that were selected are open to brand new suggestions and new techniques. Just they were brought in that way, they were coached that way by the coach before them, and then they're playing this, and the coach has so much spice. He looks like he wants to play, or just bang on the sidelines on the other coaches. So he's just in this fully. And they went to Arsenal, and this is such an important game for Arsenal. If they have any chance of hoping that Man City messes up, they had to win this game. And Brighton handled them. And the one point in this game was the first goal. I feel like that was a foul and it should have been disallowed. But Arsenal still did not come close to scoring for the rest of the game after that. And Brighton did get 2 more goals. So even though maybe the first goal could have been disallowed, I could still see Brighton winning this game without the first goal. But I just want to be fair and just mention that. Like Kiwa was like stepped on basically on his Achilles, like in the defensive area of the pitch, and then he went down, and then the cross came back in, and the kid, another great Brighton buy, headed the ball in the net, and Brighton goes up 1-0. Did Arsenal bottle it, or did they just miss an opportunity to win the league? How you feel?
Yeah, I think they bottled it, not just in this game, but I think their overall run over the last month or so. Like, you know, they let us come there and take stuff off them, which, you know, that's shameful. If you can't beat us at home, you don't deserve to win the league. That's like if you let us score 2 goals against you in the first 10 minutes of the game, you don't deserve to win the league. That's like we're one of the worst teams in the league in front of goal. And if you let us score 3 past you, you don't deserve shit. That's why Spurs don't deserve shit this season either, because we scored 3 past them too. And you know, like you say, yeah, there was maybe a decision which could have gone either way. But if you lose 3-0 at home, you deserve to lose. You know, like you said, there's plenty of opportunity to turn that around. And if you're playing well, one bad decision doesn't matter, because you'll figure out a way around that if you're playing well. And Arsenal weren't playing well. You know, Saka had maybe a couple of chances, but on the whole, just a really good, a bold performance from Brighton as well. They went there and they pressed them, they got in their faces, they attacked them. Yeah, and they pulled off a great result. And it's kind of weird because they probably looked at the 2 fixtures they had with Everton and Arsenal and gone, oh well, we'll probably get 3 points out of these 2 games. They probably didn't expect it to come against Arsenal away from home. But I mean, or maybe they do. Maybe their fans are super confident right now. I don't really know any Brighton fans, so maybe they were expecting a win there. Maybe they're expecting 6 points out of those 2 games. But yeah, really well done to bounce back from that. And yeah, I've got in Ciso, my fantasy football team, the kid who scored the first goal. So I was happy with that.
Oh, damn, you put him in there?
Yeah, I put him in for the Everton game though, and they benched him.
Oh, yeah. You did have some Brighton players in for the Everton game, and then Everton lost and nobody performed.
Yeah, they killed me, Brighton, in the last game, but they did all right this time. But they've got a midweek game as well, I think. Who have they got? They're playing Newcastle. That'll be a great game.
Yeah.
That's coming up. That's coming up on Thursday.
The would-be new top 6 teams. 2 would-be new top 6 teams. Well, Newcastle's in the top 6 for sure. It's just whether, you know, Liverpool can come to. I got 2 questions. Well, one thing about this game, and this is almost going to the fan thing. This is not going fully into the fan thing, but it's just one part of fan behavior I want to discuss before we go full into fan behavior, like later on in the podcast. So, and it's funny because last week, Everton just beat the pants off Brighton, right? Like unexpectedly. And Brighton's like, they're in the top 6. I think I got to go back and look at it. But they've outperformed their fans' expectations. But last week, the fans for Brighton in a home game, when they have a team that's doing way better and not just winning like Burnley style, like winning Man City style, like they're winning with style points, and their fans left the stadium early. So now Brighton goes to Arsenal and beats them so bad that Arsenal fans who never expected their team to be where they are at this stage of the season and like in the running for a Premier League title, and their fans leave the stadium early. So like, how could the fans from both these teams like have the balls to like, you know, even when at least players, when they have a bad game, they'll go over and applaud the fans, right? Right? There was nobody in the stadium for either side last week or this week for the players to go over to applaud. It's like, so do you think fans should stay, especially when their teams have outperformed their expectations all season, and just if they have a bad game?
I mean, personally, I think so. I mean, people will sometimes have other reasons. They'll claim they're trying to beat the traffic or whatever. But I mean, I've
You
been
know
to
there's
some,
going to be traffic.
yeah, I've been to some shitty losses. I remember once sitting there watching Southampton lose seven. We lost 7-0 to Liverpool once at home, and I sat there till the end. I sat there until the final whistle, because I was like, yeah, you know, I'm a fan. I'll sit here until the bitter end.
Yeah.
I might not clap when the players go to fans, but I mean, I've seen it the other way as well, where there was one game we lost 1-0 to Nottingham Forest when Nathan Jones was manager, and Nathan Jones sort of, he'd finished shaking hands with like the opposition and stuff, and he walked into the middle of the pitch and he did like a sort of clap to around the stadium, and the whole stadium just booed him. So maybe you don't want the fans around if you've had a stinker of a game, if you're going to get booed. But I could sort of understand it for Brighton, because the Everton game was a real capitulation. If they'd have like lost 1-0 or 2-1 or 2-0 to Everton, they probably wouldn't have started leaving. But the fact that they were getting trashed 5-1, they probably just went, nah, fuck this, I don't want to watch anymore. I can sort of get it, but like I say, I sit there through the absolute worst of it.
Yeah, I'm a stayer. If I go to a movie and the movie's bad, and I'll be like, I always hope it gets better at the end, or they'll wrap it up surprisingly somehow and bring it all together. So I've watched like 99% of every bad movie that I've watched. And when I go to games with a basketball, even if it's like tickets to a team that I don't support, but I'm just there, hockey games or whatever, like I'll stay, because this is what I came here for. You know what I mean? I know sometimes people have like tight schedules and they have to do something, but this is not like everybody who left from both games had the same appointment or something after the game. So then they left. This is just like your team is where you didn't expect it to be in a good way, and they took a beating. Now they need you, even though you've been supporting them all your life. This, to walk out like that, it kind of leads to our next topic later. Like just that attitude, it leads to like fan behavior in an even harsher way, which like we'll get to that, just because we just want to discuss more Premier League. But you know, I don't think it's good to leave when your team is doing that. It's always try to cheer you up a little bit. So let's talk about Aston Villa versus Tottenham. And
I mean,
you know, your thoughts on Tottenham losing and Martin taking
Villa
it out.
I mean, Spurs weren't very good, but Villa were great. You know, they were attacking at speed. They had, you know, Ramsey and Watkins and Buendia just going at them. Bailey stepped up in this game as well. He got an assist on the first goal. But yeah, I mean, Forster had to put off a couple of good saves. Villa were going for him. And Spurs were just, they were there. It was kind of non-existent, their performance. I mean, they had a chance before they scored their penalty where Villa kind of tried to give them a little gift. They played Harry Kane in. They gave him a through ball, and he ended up having his shot saved by Martinez. So, yeah, they couldn't really capitalize on that. And then they got the penalty late on, which was, you know, consolation. But yeah, pretty dominant performance from Villa. They were great. I don't know if did that take them above Spurs, or are they still below them?
Let me
So I know Villa had a little sort of wobble in their form where they came off the boil a little bit, but
nah, Spurs is above them, but is this a goal difference thing?
oh yeah, it is, yeah.
It's like by two goals.
Yeah, so this could be interesting, because I think Spurs might have some tough games in their last two games. Oh no, they got Leeds. Oh, Leeds and Brentford. So Brentford could give them some problems.
Oh, Villa?
Brentford are
or
playing
Tottenham.
Spurs this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, Brentford could give them problems, and Leeds might still have a chance. They might be clawing away.
Yeah.
So who knows? But can you tell like what's Emery doing tactically with this team to make it better? Like, can you tell like from watching this game, or just like what's the deal?
I think they just have a real desire to get at teams and get the ball forwards quickly and utilize their strengths. Like they'll get Buendia running at people, they'll get Watkins running at people, they'll get Bailey running at people. They're playing with like an aggression to them, not aggression in a physical sense, but sort of aggression in a mindset sense where they're wanting to get at teams. And I think it sort of helps them knowing that they've got a fairly solid defense right now. Like some players have really improved under Emery, like Mings is a different player right now. Martinez is just a solid goalkeeper as well. Like he bails them out a little bit at times. And there's a lot of rumours that there's multiple clubs looking at him in the summer. So you never know, he could move on. But yeah, it's weird. They've got a World Cup winning goalkeeper at Villa. But yeah, they just seem to be getting at teams, and he's sort of taken the shackles off them attacking wise and letting them just go. And then they've got solid players though who sit behind like McGinn and Douglas Luiz, who they contribute to the attack, but then they're also just solid centre midfielders as well.
Yeah, McGinn has improved, and then at some of the earlier Villa games when Lloyd was there, the fans are like, the fans are from old school English football and direct. Ian Wright, what with Ian Wright, you say, what his main commentary would always be like, they need to play faster. They need to play faster. It's like, what does that even mean? It's like, what does faster do? It doesn't like solve your problems. It just makes you turn over the ball faster. So what the fans were saying that because Emery had them, or Unai had them like holding onto the ball and passing. Now Man City just holds the ball sometimes and just passes it around. So he has them doing that. And it was kind of frustrating the fans, but it also helps them set up for an attack. It doesn't always have to be like a quick counter. It's like, let's hold on to the ball, let's get confident with our touches, and it's like they're all figuring out this math problem of the other team's defense together, and they've grown into the thing where now they're better with the ball, so they're not just like, they're becoming a possession team at the same time and playing like modern football. And like you said, he's improved the players so that they could do that. And yeah, man. So Aston Villa's like, what a season, man. Like they were almost in a relegation zone at one point. Or
yeah, I think they were like they were 3 points above it or something, I think, when he took
3
over.
points. Yeah. And then just look, that it's not even no relegation talk, like European spot talk. Yeah. So good for them. I want to talk about Man United and Garnacho and just first of all, whoever bought him, and I think it has something to do with why am I blanking on his name? But a lot of United fans don't like this guy. But for some reason, something's telling me he's been good for the club, and he was there with Ed Woodward, and anybody's associated with Ed Woodward gets like shrapnel and and grenade fragments from just being associated with him. I'll remember, and this guy was an ex-Everton like administrator, but I remember everything about him. And he was one of the guys that flew to Barcelona to try to bring back De Jong, and then came back empty-handed. And then they were mad at him when we paid too much for Casemiro, but now everybody's in love with Casemiro. So, but once you hate somebody at Man United and you associate with Ed Woodward and the Glazers, you get no love. But, in the transfer window, they've made some great pivots and come to some great conclusions with Ten Hag's help and his team's help. And I still can't remember the guy's name, but he also helped the Man United youth structure. And I feel like he's responsible for Amad Diallo, who had a great loan spell out to Sunderland. And we have a player next year that we don't have to buy in Diallo. So we have this guy, and we have Garnacho, who's helping us right now. We also have Pellistri, who we probably don't need, and who's another right winger. So everybody's like, we got to buy, but we have some players because of this guy. But like, let's stick to the game. Like Man United versus Wolves over the last few years, under Ali, under anybody, has just been a tough game, and sometimes we'll lose it 1-0, or sometimes we'll win it in the last minute. There was one time, it was just an ugly game, and we were at home under Ali, and there was a throw in, and Bruno got the ball and he kicked it long over to Rashford, and Rashford put it in the net, and we just won like in the dying embers of the game. And this was another kind of those close games where Marshall scored in the 32nd minute, and we dominated them. And I want to give the United team props for like creating as many shots as they created. 27 shots, 9 on target, and we didn't put them in the net. And people say some people would say it's a good performance. Some people say it's a dicey performance by United because Garnacho scored late in the 90th minute. But I feel like it was a really good performance. And if we put some of these goals in the net with the same performance because of the goals went in the net, they'd say this was a great performance. And sometimes that's how fans view things. It's a ball in the back of the net. No, then it's you only scored one. You lost. It doesn't mean it's a bad performance. It's just like finishing doesn't count as much as it should sometimes, or it counts too much. But I feel like this was a good, strong game for us. Yes, it was like a horror movie where you could get killed at the end. Like Wolves could just come up with something and get a goal. They don't have a lot of goals in their team, but they did make some subs that scared me towards the end of the game. Like when you're subbing in, let me see who they subbed in at the end of the game, like when it's just, we only up by 1. Let me see. And I was like, these are dangerous people. You don't want these individuals coming on the field now. Like, so
yeah, not at 1-0.
No, not at 1-0. And if they score, we ain't scoring again because we didn't score anything after the first goal. So they put in Traore, they put in Hwang Hee-chan, who I've seen do some things. And they put in Raul Jimenez, and you don't want him to like have a glory day moment from back in the past before he had his skull cracked. And you don't want him to do something. Then they put in Podence, their number 10, who's like super gifted and could have a moment at any moment. And it's like, and we're putting in Harry Maguire and Fred. You know what I'm saying? Like the people they put in have way more quality than the people we put in. But it's a good thing we put in Garnacho. And so we put in Maguire and we took out Duran. Like, look at that exchange rate that's some scary shit. You know what I mean? And we put in Weghorst. You ever put in a Weghorst, game where you 1-up? that does not make you feel comfortable. No diss to Weghorst, but it's not. It's his, like what he's been giving us has turned into less and less. So, but we did put in Alejandro Garnacho, who's been injured, and it's like, because it's his breakout season, when we talk about Man United injuries, we don't bring it up a lot. We don't say, we're missing Garnacho, but we are missing a Garnacho. Like this guy, like can change the game, and it's and we've been missing him for a bunch of games. It kind of coincided with our slump, because also I think like Sancho plays better when he has Garnacho staring over his shoulder, and he can get yanked. He's just more pushed to try to do something. And then if you start Garnacho, when you bring in a fresh Sancho, he does better after the other team is tired. And Garnacho's like run the ragged and maybe scored or didn't score. So your Garnacho helps you as a starter or as a substitute coming off the bench, and he also gives you like Sancho a better chance of shining if he comes on when a team is tired. So Fred had a good game when he did come on. Like he wasn't on for long, but he did have a good game. And this was a game that we should win. We had no Rashford, but we have more goals in us than they do. And I didn't think they were going to be able to score more than one goal. But I was worried that if they did score their one goal before we scored ours, then I was worried about how we were going to react. So I'm glad we got our goal first. I'm glad our defense held on and did their thing. Wan-Bissaka out there styling, doing his thing, doing tricks on the pitch and defending. Shaw played left back. Did you believe that Luke Shaw actually played left back in a game for United? Pretty amazing. And he did not start Maguire. He started Lindelof. And I'm like, that is progress to me. Like Lindelof he's been with United 4 years and had a breakout season, at least 4 years, maybe 5. And this is like, he's really showing that just don't put me next to Maguire, man, please. I can play defense for a top team. Just don't put me next to Maguire. And I know I'm kind of shitting on Maguire, but I think Maguire would be a good defender somewhere else. And if he excelled somewhere else on a Manchester United expectation level, I'd be happy for him. It's just that it's just one of those things where it's just not working. So why force it? You know what I mean? He'll be a good boyfriend for another girl. I'd go to the wedding and clap when he says I do and did that. What do you think about our situation over here?
I mean, it was like, it's fun watching Garnacho because he threatened him a couple of times when he came on. He had a couple of ones that went just past the post. And then when he did get that chance, like he didn't fuck around. You know, he put that right in the corner. I love the way it just clipped the post and then went back into the side net and over the other side. Just aesthetically, that looked nice, the way he put it in. But I mean, that game could have been more comfortable for you guys, but because Wolves played like a backup keeper in this game, Bentley, and he had like the game of his life.
Yeah.
Like he was pulling off saves.
He played like he doesn't want them to ever try the other goalkeeper that he replaced again. He's like, this is my chance. I'm trying to take this.
Yeah, you can understand. I think that might have been his first game of the season in the Premier League. And, you know, it's at Old Trafford. He's got a lot of opportunity to be busy, which, like, you know, when I played as a keeper, in a weird way, you kind of want to do stuff. It's not good for the team. But if you get a chance to show off, then, you know, you kind of enjoy it in a weird way because you get to showcase.
The only way for you to be a good goalkeeper is for your team on defense to play bad. That's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I got signed for an academy when I was 14 after a 17-0 loss as a goalkeeper because the scouts had come to watch the team we were playing because they were like the best team in our league, in our age group, and I stopped it from being about 30 that day.
Oh shit!
And they were like, "Oh, you come and have a trial."
Oh damn!
So it pays off sometimes being a good goalkeeper in a bad team.
Yeah. You hear that, good goalkeepers? Stop joining good teams. Join bad teams, and you'll get scouted. Like
that's why Pickford's England #1.
Yeah, he looks good. Everton. Yeah, it's hilarious. Like playing for a shitty Everton has helped Pickford's career. And like look at Ramsdale, 2 relegation teams in a row. You know what I mean? And now he's with Arsenal. Like because he had to and even Henderson, who we loaned out, like he played for like bad teams. Like there's a lot of bad teams where their goalkeepers are like heralded. Like the only good person. I'm sure there's other goalkeepers where that is their origin story was a bad team. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to be doing that. You don't want to come through the academy and get in the first team at a good team and never do shit.
Yeah.
Like there's some goalkeepers. I can't even tell you if Edison's really a good goalkeeper.
He is. He is.
I know. But most of the game, he's just there to pass the ball to people. He's not there to stop shit because nothing comes at him. But yeah, I mean, that keeper, he played great for them. He stopped that from, like, you could have been out of sight after an hour in that game. but he kept
Yeah,
him in it.
yeah. Some of Anthony's bad decisions, and he saved a Sancho shot, and then, like you said, a Garnacho shot, and he was a man of the match basically, and they lost 2-0, and Garnacho had to hit the post to beat him. Like it's one of those. But yeah, I'm happy for this result. We tie up at least on points with Newcastle. We still got goddamn Liverpool breathing down the back of our necks. And if we could win 2 more games out of this, I think we got 3 left. We lock down top 4. So let's do that. And if any team wants to help us by tripping up Liverpool, let me ask you a question. You think Liverpool has the best form in the league right now besides Man City?
They got to be up there. They've been pretty consistent recently. So yeah, it's not what you want to see when you're when you've got them hunting you down. But I mean, it's not just you guys though. It's like Newcastle need to be nervous as well.
Yeah. The only reason I know their form is good because the hairs are standing up on the back of my neck from Liverpool breathing back there.
Yeah, I mean, if you could win your game in hand, it would give you so much more breathing space because you're 1 point ahead of them right now, but you got the game in hand. So if you could win that and go 4 points ahead of them with 2 games remaining, like that puts you in a nice position. And I mean, Newcastle got the game in hand over them as well, but they play Brighton on Thursday, so Newcastle might screw their game in hand. So yeah, it's not just you guys that need to be worried.
Come on, Brighton, get in there.
Newcastle need to be worried as well, though, man.
Yeah,
it's not just you guys.
Yeah, let's see what you got, Newcastle. Come on, Brighton. Let's see if Brighton have enough energy after this weekend to do what they got to do. So we'll see that. We could talk about Crystal Palace, Bournemouth. Eze did his thing. Eze proving that my early stock buy was good. Roy Hudson won again. But I still say, you know what I'm going to say. This is a win that if you hadn't fired him, Patrick Vieira could have got. But Crystal Palace does look effective. So I will give it up to Roy Hudson. But he's coming back to a team like it's perfect for him. He left the team in a decent way. Good blood. He wasn't fired. He's like, I'm old, I'm out. And he knows everything that's going on there. He knows all the plays. He comes back to see the same players that he pretty much left. And they liked him. They had a good relationship. And he comes and probably had some time to think in between his time away from them and say, you know, if I did this and this and this, it could actually make him better. And it's just like perfect. But I feel like you still messed up your future. Maybe Vieira wouldn't have won all these games, but I still think you still would have been safe, Crystal Palace. And yeah.
I mean, that second goal from Eze was world class as well. The first one was a nice enough goal. It was a good finish, but it kind of fell to him nicely. But the second one was wow. Yeah, he's a talented guy.
Yeah, he's shit. He might make an England squad soon. Keep this up. So we're gonna go. Let's talk about fan behavior. And fans like drive sports. You know, they drive the advertising, they buy the tickets. And listen, in the history of football, we've had trouble with fans before. There's been the hooligans. There's been, like not even bar fights, town fights. Like the fans of a team will travel to another town and get into a fight with the whole town. I have a town bar fight in a town square and stuff like that. And that's bad. And, you know, there's been stuff at Anfield and just, you know, these legendary tragedies and with misbehavior and also bad, you know, setups for the protection of fans. But we just discussed, you know, the fans for the Brighton game when they lost at home and the fans for Arsenal game when Arsenal, them leaving early. So that's one thing. That's kind of acceptable, but for me, no, because I always stay unless I got a set or something right after work, and I know, but yeah. But now Barcelona. So tell me what happened with Barcelona winning the league, and what happened.
I mean, so the full time whistle went, and obviously Barca are celebrating. They got a convincing win. They secure the title. They're all on the sort of middle of the pitch. They're in a circle, like dancing around, and they're all hugging each other and stuff, just in the middle of the pitch. And then some Espanyol fans, they get on the pitch and they're trying to go for them. So all the Barca players have to start to run for the tunnel. Security are trying to stop the fans from getting in there as well. But it wasn't sort of clear video that I saw of it. But I've seen a video of it where they cut away when it starts to happen. Yeah, it's not what you want to see, but obviously it's a slightly antagonistic thing when you win the title at your derby game away from home and you celebrate it on the pitch, because it's going to upset some people. You'd hope that adults would be emotionally mature enough to either just leave the stadium or just pay no mind to it. They're not it's not a personal thing. They're just celebrating the fact that they've won the league and they're happy that they've done it at your place. But there's nothing to be achieved by reacting to it. Boo them. Just stand there and boo them if you really need to do something. But yeah, there's no excuse for people coming onto the pitch and trying to assault players or get to players or do whatever they were trying to do. I think there was also some protests at the Espanyol board. Some of it was related to that as well, because they're not happy with how the club's being managed as well. Because I think they just came back up to La Liga last season and now they're getting relegated straight away. But yeah, I just found a video of it now. I'm watching. Yeah, the players, you see them all running. They're sprinting, the Barcelona players, for the tunnel.
You can't do that because, first of all, there's Spanish players on that Barcelona team, and if I know you're an Espanyol fan, and they're your rivals, but some of those they're kids, and some of them just won their first La Liga title, like Gavi. Is that you or me playing that? Oh, the TV just came on. See, the ghost just pressed the button on my TV. But it's like you're going to try to hurt Gavi and Pedri, like the future of Spain's football. Like, come on, man. They're celebrating on your pitch and your rivals. And I think like the added context of like you're in relegation trouble, and you hate this team, but you just gotta hold that. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta hold that. You know what I mean? And just let Barcelona run out of levers and like suffer financial pain next year. You know what I mean? But yeah, you can't do that. And I'm reading this thing down here. It says for some fans, however, let's see this part. Like this part is off the chain. Like this caused a traveling contingent to flee down a tunnel to safety, and Caruso Deportivo reported that there were attempts from hooded men to get into the changing rooms and attack them with bars, chairs, batons, and other objects. Now, I don't know if that's dramatic or not, but you can't do that. You can't do that, bro.
Yeah, it's pretty messed up. It's
yeah.
But yeah, it's a whole weekend of fan behavior issues.
Yeah, like you were telling me about some other incidents. Like, what were they? Because I didn't catch all of them.
There's a team in the Netherlands called Groningen, and again, the fans there are unhappy with the board. They were playing Ajax at home at Groningen, and 8 minutes in, some fans came on the field and tried to cause some problems. They were throwing smoke bombs around and doing all sorts of stuff. They dealt with it and they tried to get the players back out, but more things being thrown, more stuff was being done. So the game just got abandoned 8 minutes in. So a top level game, and there's been quite a few instances of stuff happening in the Netherlands. I think there was maybe 2 other games at the weekend that were also postponed because fans are just getting wild, and it's not a good thing. And the other incident was in Italy, not quite to the same level. So Milan were hunting down Lazio for the final Champions League spot in Serie A. They beat Lazio last weekend. This weekend they're playing Spezia, who were on like a 7-game losing streak. They're trying to fight relegation, and Milan lost to them, which kind of fucks their season up because that's not what they want to happen. That's
it's AC Milan or Inter?
Yeah, AC Milan.
And they just lost the first leg of the Champions League thing against Inter midweek, so they got this weekend loss too.
Yeah. So their fans weren't happy. So it's they went over to clap the fans at the end of the game, and one of the leaders of the ultras made the players stand there while he lectured them. So the players all had to just stand there and look at this guy, and he gave them a telling off. This one fan, others were looking, I think, were joining in as well, and the players. I mean, no one knows what they were saying. They're trying to the club are trying to spin it, that saying that like the guy was trying to motivate them for the next game of the Champions League, telling them, what's at stake, you need to win this game and stuff. But it looked a little demeaning in a way, from the pictures I've seen. So and some people, like one of the biggest sports newspapers in Italy, Gazzetta dello Sport, they were saying like, would Paolo Maldini tolerate that? Because a supporter tried to lecture him after they lost the Champions League final to Liverpool, and Maldini told him off back. He was like, no, you don't get to do this to us. Right. Kind of thing. So just an interesting situation. Like, obviously depends what was said in that moment, but it's weird kind of thing, because in a lot of countries in Europe especially, and I know in other places like South America and stuff, the fans have power. Like the Premier League has kind of been like, you still get some instances of bad behavior in the Premier League, but the Premier League's almost been kind of sanitized by all the money, and tickets are quite expensive. And there's no real like loud supporters groups. You're not allowed to carry big flags or flares or things into the stadiums in England. Like, I think the only place where they let people have all the big flags and stuff is the Cop at Liverpool. When they do You'll Never Walk Alone before the game and stuff like that. But in most grounds, you don't see the big fan displays and people waving flags for 90 minutes. And I've been to some of these games on the continent, and you see like a guy with a megaphone at the front of the section. He's starting all the chants and things. I mean, we've seen it at LAFC as well. They've got all the tifo stuff there. They've got all the banners and the flags and people starting the chants and things. But it seems to be done in a more sort of less aggressive manner there. It's pure support rather than trying to get at the team or the opposition or anything. It's just, you're just trying to support the team. So maybe that's the best version in the MLS, where it creates a spectacle, but it's in the right nature. And oftentimes in Europe it is, but when things go bad, those people having the power that they do can really cause some problems.
Yeah, it's just, I think one of the, in order for you to have the mindset to demean a group, you have to come up with a slogan that kind of makes sense. And what they do with football players is they're making a lot of money, and so then they're not human, or they're entitled, or they're making a lot of money and they're lucky to be there. And it's like, so then they translate it to like, all right, and I paid for the ticket, so I'm your boss, so it's like, and you're not doing your job well. But there's if you're at your job and you ain't doing your job well, your boss can't do that to you. You know what I mean? Or they'll get fired. So because you're a human being, and this is not an easy job. Only a selective amount of people in the world can do it. And yes, there's disappointment, but fans, your emotion is beautiful and it helps the game, but it can also hurt the game. And fans got to like get in control of themselves. Like let's not blow this thing. Like we've messed it up a few times, and they've done things to fix it, but you cannot treat somebody like they're a human being or power trip on somebody. And I know there's a lot of other factors that cause fans to act this way, but just remember, man, these players are human beings, and none of them want to play bad. None of them want to play bad. It just be like that sometimes, man. And sometimes you can't get your life on track.
If you can see that, that's the Milan players getting lectured. Right. It was a group of fans.
They won the league. When did AC Milan win the
league? Last season, yeah, for the first time in ages.
What the fuck are you telling them, bro? What the fuck are you telling them? They won the league last season. What are you saying?
The manager was there as well. The manager was standing there taking it too.
He shouldn't take that. You're the leader of these guys. Don't take that. You won the league last season. Like, come on, man. Come on. Like, you AC Milan is not what it used to be, but you won the league last season, and this team has given you way more joy than a lot of other teams in Italy you could support. Like, take the down times. You know what I'm saying? Just take the down times. Roll with your team, bro. Like, I know this one is not on the level of like the other things, but now I feel bad about going in on the fans that left early. Just leave early then. Fuck it then. I'm back on the leave early train. Just leave early, man. God damn it, if you feel frustrated, leave early, because if that's what if you're gonna chase Barcelona down the tunnel, you should, why are you even, if your team is playing bad and you're protesting and the opposition, your derby people won on your pitch, leave early. Don't chase these winners who they didn't just happen to win. They worked hard to win. Barcelona's come back. I'm not even a Barcelona fan, but they've come back from a lot, and that's good for Xavi. His first title as a coach. Are you chasing Xavi down a tunnel, bro? You out of your mind? One of the most recent gods of football down a tunnel? Come on, man. Come on, Espanol. Come on. Is there anything that we left out?
I mean, talking about my team getting relegated more if we want.
Yeah. So how do you, I know you try to block it out. I know you try to like compensate for it so that you feel it less. But tell us about the moments that you felt it the most. Because this is, I mean, you're not going to be able to discuss this again until you get back in. So.
I mean, there were certain games, just like the Wolves game under Nathan Jones, where we were ahead and they were down to 10 men.
Woo.
So we were 1-0 up and a man up, and we fucked that up. And I was like, this isn't the actions of a team that believes in themselves or have got character. I mean, the game I went to in person against Nottingham Forest at home when we lost 1-0 and we didn't have a single shot on target. And that's when Forest were like one of the worst teams in the league before they brought in the reinforcements in January. They were terrible that day. They were down there with us. I think we were the bottom two teams and we didn't have a single shot on target at home. And I was like, that don't look good. But, that was under Nathan Jones. We got rid of him. The problems run deep. He was bad, but the problems run deeper than him. We've had poor recruitment for a while, poor management choices. Because Sellers, I like him. He's trying to press. He's trying to get at teams, but he doesn't have a plan B. He's very young as a manager as well. It's his first ever managerial job, and that's not that shouldn't be your first managerial job, being the third manager of the season for a team who are in the relegation zone. That's like the hardest time to learn on the job. You know, I'm all for fake it till you make it, but you can't fake that shit down there. Like you're gonna get found out if you've got any flaws. You can't be a rookie in the Premier League management game a third or 2/3 of the way through the season in the bottom half of the league in the relegation zone. And that was crazy because he won his first game against Chelsea away, which just goes to show how much Chelsea ain't shit this season. The fact that
the fact that he could just I like how you're clawing everybody on your way down. On your way out, you're putting up more of a fight than your team did on the way out. They're just sitting everybody.
I am, yeah. Yeah. But I mean,
I love this.
I mean,
this is a fun funeral. It's a fun funeral. You're not moaning. You're not crying. You're not wearing black. You're wearing your team's colors, and you're scoring more shots than Shea Adams on the way out, bro. I loved it.
But I mean, the fact that we took 6 points this season off Chelsea, they should be embarrassed. They should get relegated with us just for that. Just for the fact that they let one of the worst teams in Premier League history take 2 wins off them in a season.
Listen, man, they tried. They tried to get relegated with you, so you got to give them credit for that. They did try.
This is true. We didn't even beat Frank. We beat Tuchel and Potter. That's who we beat. If it was Lampard, I could understand. But no, I mean, yeah, it's been a long, hard season, and we've looked bad from fairly early in the season as well. Ward-Prowse came out and said it after the game as well. He's like, we've not learned our lessons. We lost heavily to Spurs on the first day of the season, but we played okay for a bit, and then we just collapsed. And he says we've learned no lessons from the first game of the season to now, and that's alarming when a player says that. I've read some stories about there being sort of too many cliques because they brought in a load of young players, and apparently the young players, some of them were like not taking it that seriously, turning up to training late, turning up to meetings late, just sitting there on their phones the whole time. And we lost a lot of big characters out the team. Like I can understand why Romeu went back to Spain. He wanted to live near his family, play for a club near his hometown.
Yeah, he wanted to not get relegated. That's what he wanted.
I don't know. Let me see how his team are doing in La Liga, because he might be getting relegated regardless. But I mean, yeah, he was a big loss because he was a big character. He was a leader. We just lost too many leaders, and we signed too many young players who. Oh shit! Romeu's club is 7th in La Liga. Girona. They're not even a big team.
Yeah, I know. Girona's
But and I just saw Girona drew 2-2 with Sociedad at the weekend, and I saw, when I clicked on the result, I saw a little red card against Girona, and I knew before I even looked that's Romeu.
That's hilarious.
And yeah, he got a red card in the 87th minute in that game, because that was what he never shied away from a tackle. He was the enforcer in that midfield. He was like an old school throwback.
You said you lost some big characters, and he's at Jerome doing his thing, being a character.
Yeah, he's fighting. Yeah, like I say, he never shied away from a tackle. He was a good player, but yeah, he's been playing a lot of their games and getting good performances from what I'm reading here. But the fact that they're 7th in the league, they're not a big club. They're the ones who are attached to Man City, though.
Yeah.
And I think he kind of went there because Man City were selling us a bunch of young players. They sold us Lavia, Larios, Edozie, and I think it was part of the deal with the City group that Romeu would go out there. Okay. So, but his parents live in that city, so there was a good interview with him in The Athletic where he talked about his love for Southampton, and they gave him everything he dreamed of as a kid, kind of thing, in terms of playing in the Premier League and being a captain and things. So yeah, it was a really nice interview. This was a few months back, and he sort of explained why he wanted to go home as well. And you couldn't be angry at him for it. But yeah, we needed to go out and buy characters And I could there was a little bit of excitement when we signed all these young players. It's oh shit, these guys are highly rated. They come from City, a lot of them. There's some others that we signed from other clubs, and people. There was articles saying these are exciting players, but if you take too much experience out of a Premier League team, then that's what happens. Like some teams can get away with it. Like Arsenal this year have done okay with a young team, but they still got some characters in there. They've still got Xhaka in there. Odegaard is a leader despite being a bit younger still. Jesus is a little bit older. Partey's a bit older. Gabriel at the back and Ramsdale's.
Zinchenko.
Yeah, like they got the. I think we're the youngest team in the Premier League, and Arsenal the second youngest, or it might be the other way around. But yeah, we just had a deficit of leadership, and shit came to bite us in the end. We paid the price for it, and I hope they address that in the Championship next season, because you still can't win the Championship with kids. You've got to have experience there. Like Burnley went down and made a bunch of signings, but they also kept people like Jack Cork, and they kept Barnes in there. Jay Rodriguez stayed as well. They had some players that were part of the sort of old leadership group under Dyche, and then company sort of put good players around them. So you need a spine and a core, and I think a lot of our experienced players that we've still got now are going to go. So like Wood-Prowse, I'd love him to stay and get us back up and cement his place as a club legend. He's done that already, but if he stayed and got us back up, he would really do that. But I mean, if he gets a good offer, I ain't gonna be mad at him for wanting out. He's done more than enough for the club. So
how old is he now?
28. So this is kind of the last point he can make a good move in his career, and get that. So yeah, I wouldn't begrudge him that. So we've got a big rebuild job.
Is he a 6 or is he an 8?
He's more of an 8,
10.
But he can play as 6. He's more of an 8. He'll go box to box. He covered more distance than any centre midfielder in the Premier League this season, because he's just a worker. He works his ass off. He wins the ball, and obviously he can pull off his magic with the set pieces as well. So yeah, he'll be a great asset to any club who go for him. He could be a good squad player at a top club, or similar to Harrison, like I said, or a starter at a ambitious mid-table team.
I'll take him. I'll take him at United.
Yeah, like if all your players are fit, I probably think he probably doesn't get in your team. But you need, when you're competing in the Champions League and other cups as well, you got to have that squad depth. I mean, Man City is unreal, and that's why they're winning everything. So to come even close to them, you got to have some depth.
Right. I'll take it. My camera moved. I don't know why. There's so yeah, man. Well, it was fun having Southampton in the league. They've given a lot to the Premier League as far as like selling different players to different teams that are thriving, and to teams outside of the Premier League and in other leagues. And I just hope you're not down there long, and you don't disappear down to like the other like layers of the table below the Championship.
We did that before.
become yeah. So hopefully you've done that before, and you're not trying to do it again, and you come back soon. You still get like 3 years of parachute payments, so you should be like richer than the other teams. And then you had that cash influx from like the new investors. That as soon as that Serbian, was it Serbian?
Yeah,
Serbian money did not help.
Serbian investor, but Danish technical directors. And yeah, it just hasn't worked out. They've been too ambitious, thinking that they can just buy kids, and that's what they were trying to do, is buy kids, throw them in at the Premier League, and if they prove themselves in the Premier League, you can make a big profit. But the problem is that profit doesn't mean shit if you're then getting relegated, because that they've been proven right to some extent, like with Lavia. Like the guy's a teenager still. He's 19, and he's come in and played. He's played like a seasoned veteran this season, despite only being 19. And we'll get good money for him, but we're probably not going to get as much as we could have got if we stayed up, because teams can bully you a bit when you're relegated. In terms of the fee,
is what is he, a 10, a 6, or 8?
He's a ball playing six.
Oh, dope. He's like press resistant and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, he wants the ball no matter who he's playing against. Like he's very brave. He's not a bad ball winner as well. But he came through the City education. He was schooled in Belgium before that, Anderlecht, who one of the best academies in Belgium, and then went to City. So he's been taught well, and you could see it. He was one of our best players this season when he played, and yeah, he'll go somewhere, and he's going to be a real star.
Come on, United. Let's go on a raid. Yeah, because he seems like if he can handle the pressure at United, like if we have some injuries to like, and Casemiro would be also a good teacher, for him to like come up under and play a game here and there, and come up through him or Ward-Prowse. One thing about United is we haven't sold yet, so we don't know who is going to own the team, and that throws off our off season. But I was watching United People's TV, and they was talking about there are some free transfers out there. Like Tielemans is going to be free, Rabiot is going to be free in positions. So these are players that play in positions we need. But one is 27, one is 28. So would it be better to get Lavia and actually pay somebody for him, or Ward-Prowse? We'll figure that out because we're in danger of some FFP shit too, especially next season. Yeah. So, we'll see how it works out. But yeah, man, I like me some Lavia. Yeah.
But I mean, luckily, one of our most impressive players, Alcaraz, the rumor is that he's really settled. He only joined in January, and he doesn't want to uproot again. He's got a nice flat in the harbour down in Southampton, and he's enjoyed working with the coaches at the club, and he's played really well for us. He's scored goals. He's one of the only players who has scored goals for us. And apparently he doesn't want to jump ship straight away. So I think he'll give us at least half a season and see where we are.
And also, one thing, did you make any money off when you gave up Poch? Or was he out of contract? Did you sell him?
No,
to
I think Spurs had to pay something for him, but
right.
I mean that money's been long wasted.
Right.
We lost so much money this year just from buying Nathan Jones out of his Luton contract and then firing Nathan Jones. We wasted so much money.
Jesus.
I think Nathan Jones made about 10 million or something stupid. I don't know.
You're lying. That is crazy. Who do you think you're buying? That is bananas,
I don't know.
bro.
They gave him like a 4-year contract or some stupid shit. The whole situation with him has been an embarrassment.
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty bananas.
Yeah.
Well, hey man, at least next season we'll hear more about the championship. So if anybody, listeners, watchers, you want to know more about the championship, we're gonna have boots on the ground in the championship. See what it's like down there.
Here we go. I'll just let you know exactly how much we wasted on Nathan Jones. So we spent £4 million to get him from Luton. And then he was on a 3.5-year contract at 1.25 million a year, and that got paid out in full. So £8.4 million in total, $10 million.
Damn. And nothing happened. He didn't save him.
No, just piss that money down the toilet.
This is why they just went with the interim, the coach from the assistant coach, and tried to like hope. And then he won the first game. There was like, they just prayed that he could continue that, and just like, this is where the buck stops, and it didn't work out, and now you're going down. But yeah, hey man, well thanks for joining us. This is your first official podcast with us, not as as a fan of a team that's not in the Premier League.
Hey, we're in the Premier
So,
League for 2 more games. I mean, we're gonna. I mean, our last 2 games are Brighton and Liverpool. So it's not going to be fun. But who knows? Maybe we'll do you a favor on the final day.
I mean, could you? Please. I'd love to see something. They're going to attack you, both teams.
Who knows? Maybe we'll go out with a bang. Maybe that'll be our little present to you on our departure.
I want them to go out the way you went out on this podcast today. I'd accept that. Jesus, that effort. Well, thanks for joining, everybody. Thanks for listening. Check out Lee's Instagram, Lee Hudson Comedy on Instagram. See where his shows are at. Check out mine at Ian Edwards Comic on Instagram. Neil is still in India on vacation. He might be back next week. We'll see what's up. We'll see if we can get Martin in towards the end of the season. And we'll talk about Fantasy League next week. Yeah, we'll talk about it next week. But peace. Thanks for all listening and watching. Like and subscribe or leave a rating on the platforms that you listen on. Good. Be good to each other. One love.